Give your permission, folks. All right.
All right, Walt, you're up.
Okay. Okay, this is gonna be a mayfly that I kind of developed. And I was using, I'm gonna go ahead and go into the focus to the camera. Okay, this mayfly, this uses a TMC hook. It's a 108 SP-BL. Now, the only place I've found these hooks is down at Bennett Springs at Charlie's. Down there in, like I said, Bennett Springs. Other people have said that they couldn't find them online. Now, the hook is basically, it's got about a 30-degree bend at the top. Can you see it?
Yep.
All right, now, if you can't find these, you can just go ahead and get a normal hook. Size 14 works good. And you can just bend them into shape. Hopefully they won't break. The items that you're going to use is hackle and a duck breast feather. So what you're going to do with the hackle, let me go ahead and start it on a line. You go ahead and put your hackle on. Bring the line back up the top. Needless to say, it broke. I normally turn the vise to the side and do this. And this usually indicates like a, excuse me, like a egg or the mayfly coming out of the egg sac. I'm gonna use black, so maybe you can see it better. Bring the hackle all the way up to the bend of the hook. Tying it off, securing it. Then you can go ahead and put on a half knot and then cut off that portion. Then you would go ahead and take your duck quill and you tie that on to top. making sure that you keep the eye of the hook open. Okay, once you have this completed, then you grab an equal amount of on each side, bringing it in. And holding it, the eye of the hook. Easier said than done. Now this is going to be a little larger than, like I said. Make another knot to finish it off. You could put 4 or 5 knots. Cutting off this top portion. Now, like I said, this is exaggerating the actual body of it. Can everybody see it okay? I take it.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, then what you would do with a pen, with a pen, what you would do is cut off and have the tail section, or unfortunately, I cut off too much. And that's what you would get. If you can imagine one. Okay, can you see this?
Yeah.
Um, this is actually what's going to come out.
Take it back over to your vise, Walt, and like maybe switch out the fly and then put that one in the vise if you can. Because you had it perfectly focused.
Okay,
Yep. And then just switch it out on that smaller size. Perfect.
okay, that's basically what you're going to get.
Can you Oh, can you hold your hand up behind it? So that, yeah, if something, we're getting a little bit too much contrast from your lighting, but it's still, I think we can get a better idea. Yep,
How's that?
yep,
So you get basically what you're getting is the egg casing or the mayfly coming out of the, I guess it's the egg casing. And then it's getting ready to sit on the surface to dry out to fly away. I've been making this for about, I don't know, 10 years. I've given a lot to people at Montauk, and everybody that runs into me asked if I could give them some more. They're pretty effective. So that's when I charge them a lot of money.
okay.
But it's a very simple fly to tie. You basically, you just have to have a little bit of patience when you're tying it, not to cut off the two tails. And actually, this portion right here, it's not necessarily a tail. I was told it was for reproduction purposes. But one side usually has two and one has just one. So when you pull the quills apart, put two on one side and one on the opposite side, it does kind of look like a mayfly. This one would probably be a better looking one.
Those work better through any part of the season, Walt, real early on or later on when it's warmer?
I usually go around the end of May. And it seemed like it worked good. How's that look, guys?
Nice.
I usually go down there around the end of May. I haven't been down there in probably 3 years, or at least. So, if anybody
That's
wants
great.
any, I'll be more than happy to tie you a couple and send them out. So, not that I have a lot to do.
So Walt, with the antennas, we'll just call them that, right? Because that's what
Okay.
it looks like coming off the top. What do you run into with casting those, and what size leader tippet are you using on those?
I'm using 7-weight.
Okay.
Excuse me. I use a 7, and with the actual antennas or tails.
Right.
It doesn't seem like it's affected by the casting. They don't break off. They only break off when you cut them wrong when you're tying it, okay? But realistically, I have not had any problems with them breaking off. Now, I do not use head cement on these. They're really small. So if you're going to use them, you might catch one or two trout with them. They're not very durable. After you've caught a trout with it, they're just not, you're just gonna maybe catch 2 trout on them.
So with that, when I was asking about leader and tippet, and if you wrong size, you're gonna get that spinning with your leader or
Yeah.
tippet, whichever way you go with that. What I missed on this, what size hook are you tying on?
I have anything from size 18 and size 14.
Okay,
Okay,
so, yep,
but getting back to that, I would say if you cannot find these hooks, just go ahead and, get normal size and bend them. If you bend it about a 35 degrees, I think, that should give you the top portion to tie off on. So basically the shank, on the hook itself, the top portion is where you're gonna put the goose, the duck breast feather, and this will be the hackle.
Okay,
So it should come up and bend. And that way it's kind of floating on top. It doesn't really sink. It's a very effective fly. You know, mayfly.
that's awesome.
I used it mostly in, like I said, May. When the dogwood is out, that's when the mayflies are usually coming around, I think. Catch a lot of bluegill on them at the quarry.
It's a good looking fly. Yeah, I was more worried on the twisting with your tippet, because if you wrong size that and then all of a sudden you're like, why isn't this? And people think it's the wings or the balance on it, and it's actually you just have the wrong size hook on the wrong size tippet. But this looks great on the sizes. Anybody have any questions? Yes,
No.
no, nothing. Nice job, Walt. Good and good camera work. Was nice and clear throughout. We had a little bit where we saw your hand more than the fly, but nice job overall. Appreciate it.
All right. All right, I'm getting out of here.
All right. Well, anybody have any thoughts, comments? I know we were talking about fly boxes, or we were allegedly talking about fly boxes. If you guys want to skip that, come back to it on another night and just fill in about tying flies. If anybody's got their vise out, we can just rotate around the horn.
More than happy to show you what I carry in my Tenkara box.
Sure, John, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, you know what? We're gonna give you the full. Go ahead. Show us.
Do we
what
have
you
enough
carry.
time? Do we have enough time, John?
Count
the-
to 10.
for the 4 flies he's carrying?
That's it. That's all I carry with me.
So, all right, we'll switch around a little bit. We'll go. We'll cover this and then we'll just send Lois an email tomorrow and go see what you missed. So, I have a lot of fly boxes. I haven't figured out the right fit for what I want, and I still carry, but I don't know, 1,000 flies, and then I end up coming back to a puck. So anybody new on, right? We talk about pucks, and you're like, what are they talking about? And I have flies in here, and I know Jim Saraceno's not on tonight. He's doing Valentine's, good for him. But he left me a puck at the front door with, and he left it in this version. These are beads, but he left it in this version in my storm door while I was gone this weekend. So yeah, I have some new Paragons. But the bad part is if you're using it out of a puck like this and you get a wind or you drop it and you're clumsy, all your flies just went everywhere. Most of us have, you know, the standard, whether or not it's a Project Healing Waters one, whether or not it's one you picked up at a fly shop, and we put them in. And one of the things that I was taught is that we use these incorrectly, right? So we see this and we're like, oh, okay, well, these little V's, and we're supposed to dig them in that way. Well, if you have anything that's barbed, and we kind of use a mix as far as barbed or not. But every time you pull that out, it's not a self-healing as far as the foam. And no, you're supposed to put it in bend first. So you put it in bend first into, and you'll get 10 times the life out of your fly box. Funny, because as you're talking to people and they're like, I never knew that. I didn't know it either. But this gives you kind of an idea. Again, here's a random one. So I fish, and we all use drying patches, I think, to not put our wet flies, soaking wet flies back in. And so then it becomes discipline after everything Jim covered on our winter care and what we can be doing. Coming back in, finding that little area and covering them. Just push it back in that way, and you're not digging up the foam and having little foam pieces. Same on the other side. But again, as you get busy and you're fishing, some don't make it in. I don't know if you guys can see that correctly, but some don't make it quite in there. So that's also where I've said, you know, out of everything shipping wise that you receive, and you have in anything that you buy, you get the little silica packs too. Keeping these, they come much smaller than this. Throwing that in with your fly boxes will save you a lot of pain. I did pull out one this weekend, and all my hooks had a little bit of rust on there. So it is something that was my fault, poor care, and been fishing winter. And so it is what it is. The other thing is that fly boxes come in all shapes, sizes, and everything else. So you have some of these, they great because magnetic, love it. From that side of it, these are small, they fit in a vest pack, very easy to maneuver. What I don't like with these is they're very flat. So if you have any big, and you can see on here, my dry flies, they get smushed in there. Smushed is a word. And you have to make sure that everything's clear all the way through to kind of maneuver those all the way around, make sure. But what I like is when you're done, you can also just drop it, and same thing, you back them in. So hook bend in to the line, and these little V's are just for sight. But that's not how you dig in your fly. So that's one of the things. Then for any of the streamer folks, if your fly box looks like this, at the end of like big fishing, you guys are all laughing. Les is the only one who knows what this looks like, because it's like, what the heck just happened? You know, again, same thing, but you've got lines in your fly box. So same thing, you just come in, press in with the heel end and get them in the lines, and then get them situated to the way you're going to fish next time. So other than that, and definitely with your bigger streamers, if you've got a silica pack that you can put in and kind of help dry these out, if not, come home and open these up. Otherwise, this is one big stinky mess when you open that back up again, and you just lost a whole lot of your fly material. Come in on the line, back it in the line, and there your fly holds in place and good. Not this side, not this mess, but this mess. And then you can kind of organize them as far as your color choices. If you go from olive to black, if you go from a light beige all the way through, it is something where as you're going through, kind of organize them to the way you would grab them out. And it'll make it a little bit easier to manage. These big meat lockers, man, you're talking a few bucks to get those. But it does help keep everything in one pack, and then you've got everything to go. Some people put bluegill fly boxes together. Some just have everything dumped together. Whatever you want to do. These all are plastic, you can write on it. And then when you open it up, again, you're able to go exactly to what you want. And then you can kind of organize from there. So it's small, and then I go to kind of medium. I go to my dries, go to just some unusual ones that I want to give a try to, but I don't like how flat these are, because anything big that I'm tying is just mushed. And so when I'm working with bigger flies, I want to get it out. I want to kind of work it back up to the pattern that I want, as I'm probably putting on gink, and make sure that that fly is doing what I want it to. When I get done, I'm messy, so I just kind of throw it back in there, and then I come home and dry them out and reorganize. But I work primarily from the pucks. And the other thing is that if you want to, got a whole lot of options on this. So I can work from this all day long. Again, be careful from wind and dropping them. So that's the other thing too, is if you're not steady, you don't really know the terrain, you know, you want to kind of drop these in. And then generally I make sure I have everything kind of outlined to the way I want to use it. And then I'll add a nipper in as well, so that if I need it, it's all in one place. This is another that's like similar kind of, that's a more mature of what Walt just tied tonight. So you can have a lot of different things within one box. It just kind of is how you like to go through. And then I have this big ugly thing in there. So you can see this is kind of the grab all bag, right? If I have a small pack or I just need one box, this is my go-to, and it has everything, has the individual compartments in it. And I know I have anything I would need on the water along with nipper. So fishing breaks out, I've got something to go to. Anybody else have anything on fly boxes, your tried and true, or you guys can promote and tell me what your favorites are? Look at Carl's rearranging all of his and turning them around in the box.
Yes, I am. I just, Amy, you said that, and then I looked at it and I go, well, all my nymph box is all the wrong way. All my micro nymphs or my smaller nymphs, midges, are all the wrong way. But then when I look at my dry fly box, I got them the right way. So I don't know what I'm doing.
All I know is that if you have anything with a barb on it, and I know, the majority of us fish barbless, but sometimes you don't, right? And sometimes whether or not you're doing a hopper dropper combination, usually my hopper will have a barb on it. And when you're pulling that back out of the foam, you're tearing up. There's a good chance that it's going to catch a piece of foam, but it doesn't come out smooth. But yeah, I got schooled on that, Carl. You're not the first one who's been fishing for a while and went, you have all your flies in upside down.
Well,
I use a different approach, Amy, though. I like the thin boxes because with my shoulder pack, the little fold out pouch in the front, I can fit 2 of these plus a little dropper for my midges and nymphs preloaded all in that one pocket very nicely. Whereas if I go with the thicker ones, I can't. But I organize one with my dries and the other with my nymphs and stuff. So when I'm deciding what I'm to go for, I can just kind of pull out which one I need. And that has cut me down about 50% of what I'm looking for. If I can just remember which box is which when I first start the day out. And then usually I'll keep another one with more odds and ends. I don't fish that frequently back in another pocket. And then because I'm known to do it, so I don't forget if I get out for warm water, I just throw a whole bag of little poppers and stuff, and they fold up, and I've got a bunch of them if I'm someplace going after bluegill, bass, or whatever, that I don't forget to take them. Surprising what'll come up. And then in my bag in the back of the truck, I usually have where I can go grab my deeper box with my larger stuff if I feel like I need to go there, or I just keep my extras if
Yep.
I lose what I've got in my smaller one. If I'm gonna be out for a while. So that's my
Amy,
simple approach.
Amy, this is Dale, up here in the cold spot of Iowa. This is what I carry a lot of the times. There is commonly referred to as a CNF design fly box. It's one that I made out of a cassette tape case, 1/4-inch foam and pinking shears. And you just kind of glue it all together, make them as small or as large as you can. I've made them for all of our, can't say they don't have a fly box, and they really cost nothing to make. A little bit of super glue and some foam, and you can make as many, as small or as large as you want. And they too
That's
have
great.
the little notches there. I'll zoom in a little bit better.
Yep.
That you just use pinking shears, and then you can come back later after you cut them with a razor blade and just notch them. And they work perfectly, and the flies won't come out. They're pretty good. So if you ever
That's
need a bunch
excellent.
of fly boxes quick and cheap, that's the way to do it.
I like
So-
it.
I love it. And I'm pretty sure there's a few people on here that know where to find those cassette boxes too.
Well, and you can do any kind of plastic box. I've used, this is a cassette. I've used the old mainframe square tape boxes. And that gives you a lot of room to put it in there. And, you know, like I say, a Secrets box is perfect, because then you can glue a piece of magnetic material on the top. You have your magnetic catcher and the little foam part. And there's enough room in there, it doesn't crush the flies. And if you're interested, I have it all documented. I can send it to us.
I would love it. Yeah. And mostly just because I think sometimes half of what we do is really like a part 2 craft class.
Oh,
But I think
yeah.
when people can make their own fly boxes, I love it just
Oh, yeah.
because,
And then,
you know, it just is a cool way to tie it all together. And it is something where, you know, a whole fly box, you look at it, and you're like, how do I fill all this? It is something I got myself laughing this weekend because I was carrying my pack and I was looking for one particular fly. And so pulling that all and I'm setting stuff out and I'm setting stuff. I'm thinking, again, I easily, 1,000 flies. So that was, but I got
you
them
know,
and I
if you want to, yeah, if you want to go to the 1,000 fly box, this guy here will do it. It was an inexpensive case I got from Amazonian. And again, using the same concept, glue some foam in there, cut slots in it, and you can slide your bigger flies in there. And again, there's
That's
a lot
great.
of room so you don't crush it. So you can get real creative with foam.
I would love that, Dale. That would be great. And we can definitely share that as well, just for different ideas on how to
Yeah,
make a
glad
fly
to.
box. So
That works.
anybody else, questions, comments, anything?
I like it.
Anyway, go for it, Terry.
One of these days, Amy, I'll show you where I put all my real flies.
Okay.
I have got, I don't have as
I-
many as
I
you
can
do,
show you
but
where
I
my-
probably got,
I'll tell you, show you where mine are.
1,500.
We have to go out to the stream and the trees and the weeds. That's where I keep mine.
yeah, me too, me too, yeah.
Well, I'll switch it over. If nobody has any questions, I'll switch it over real quick. And I'm just going to tie up a very quick one. This actually pairs off of the leech pattern that we've done, and also a combination on the slump buster. So I'm just going to do this. I didn't really set out stuff ahead of time, but let me see if I've got things. And so this one, I thought, I don't know, again, I got a great big, huge, beautiful book. And I thought, well, you know, I'll look at the book. And I kind of went through and something talked to me, like a lot of books do to all of us, right? You just look at it and you're just going, wow, that's a good fly. So let me start this one up. And this is pretty much an inverted leech. And we know right now leech pattern's great. You can use a bead head. I just grabbed this cone on this one, and very similar to what we were using a couple weeks ago as far as with the slump buster. So I'm just going to grab very similar on the material wise on this one. And you can use this, and I tried it. I made it several different ways as far as a jig head and a couple different, because what happens is we're going to turn this material upside down. And I am going to use, again, the squirrel. I've got a little bit of dubbing. I won't go crazy on that tonight. And then I have peacock. So we don't talk about peacock, or I'm sorry, ostrich. So I have this, and we don't use that a whole lot. We talk about it a little bit, but we actually, a lot is referred back to peacock. So ostrich, and this comes in, again, a lot of different colors, varieties, things like that. And so I'm just gonna, tonight is black. And what I found with this one is either a black bead head. It's great for if you're catching on a spawn, yeah, pink or white or a orange color would work. What I found with this is the cone on this multicolor, and so it's just a rainbow. And then I've got, again, the squirrel. So I'm going to go in and start my thread behind on this, get it all going. And I apologize for I'm doing better on the winter hands. I got nailed a couple times this weekend. So all right, so I'm going to go at least 2 lengths back. So I'm looking at the hook shank, and I used pretty much on this one, it's a nymph or caddis. Okay, so I'm on a size 12. This is from the wholesale fly company, and I'm going to go at least a 2 back from that, meaning I'm going to go here, measure, and then I'm going to move here and measure. And that's going to be more of my tie-in. We talked about this before as far as not licking our material. I know, I mean, if you're at home, do that, fine. But as we're getting back in public, kind of break that habit. Wet sponge right next to you works really well to separate out the material, and you're not. On the slump buster, we would tie this in this direction, right? So we would tie this in, and everything rides back. We tie in that collar. And on this fly, we're actually going to turn this over. So a couple different things. I want to start with, I've got all this in, and I want to add a little bit of dubbing. You can do wire if you wanted to. This is going to drop fairly deep and kind of play off the bottom, but I'm going to just add in, start back here at the back. And for me, the most effective, the fastest way to dub is a dubbing loop on something this size where you're just building it in and doing all of that. So I'll go ahead and just do a dubbing loop, pulling out, and I want about 3 inches. I'm going to come back in, going to come right back up on there, and then go up to the bead. So I've got my dubbing loop in here, and I'm going to come in, wax is preferred, go in, and if you touch it, you know it's on there. If you touch the material too, run it up, you know it's on there. You don't need to go and touch it with your fingers, because you're going to drive yourself crazy because you're picking up dubbing on your fingers. It's not quite like super glue. So on this one, I've kind of had just a pack here that I was mixing and working from. I've got my dubbing. I'm going to spread this out as much as I possibly can. And I'm going to fill that V within for the dubbing loop. Going to go back, and you can actually kind of make different colors of this, as far as you could taper it from a tan and go into a black on your dubbing. And so I like tools. This one, the Stone Foe. I use a turbo. This I like because I can open it back up, so I can go up and I can pinch everything back in, and then I can pull it more tight. And then you just like the turbo. And again, I want this kind of big and meaty on here. Come in, you spin it, and as you pull this tool away from you is when you also get tension. So as I'm spinning, come through, come in with my hackle pliers, and come in on there, cut with my scissors, set my tool away. And yes, if we're using my thread bobbin, so you're going to just come through, feed this up. Through. And what I found the most effective was black on black on black. So I'm doing the tan so that you can see right behind the cone head. You have a little bit of space to fill in here, so you can come in and bunch it in 2 or 3 times. That's good. And then same as far as your lock and set. So come behind it on that, cinch it in, lock behind it again. And at that point, other than my hook moving, I can come in and cut that off. So it looks like any other, basically a merger coming out. Coming back to the squirrel portion of it, as far as measuring your portion. So again, I don't want to go way back here. That kind of defeats the purpose. I did start long this weekend, and I also cut off so just your nippers are able to cut through this. And I shorten up because I missed 2 sets. And then all of a sudden I went, okay, shorten it up a little bit. So if you wanted to start longer, you can. And what I'm going to do on this one is I have my starting point of where I want to tie this in, but that's not what I want to tie in. And I'm going on the invert. So I'm going to come in here and I'm pulling away the material. And if you yank on this, you're going to rip the hide. So you just have to basically start. And what I'm trying to do is clear the hide. So it is something where you just come in, just keep picking. And you can see now where the hide's clear. Now on that portion of it, you can cut now if you wanted to, because that's cleared. So you can cut there, you can still go back. And so it's fairly clear before the hair starts. I'm going to turn this. And I'm coming in and I've got it bunched up over the cone. Position it. So I've got a thread wrap in, going to come back in. Anchor that down. And again, it's pretty exaggerated long. So on the river, probably what I'm going to do is hit this one or 2 times. If it's not the right, I'm going to shorten that up. And so I would come in kind of right about there, shorten that up. But this is good to go here. And the big part was that on this side of it, coming back into our ostrich. So you have a lot to work from. And the thing that you're looking for is, you know, the whole plume in general. If you cherry pick and you take all your good ones at first, you're going to be stuck with just like this, I don't know, hazard thing of a bunch. So I try to go from the bottom, take those, I'm going to pull them from the quill portion. Now I don't need that, but I'm going to go back through. And what I want is something on the bushier side. So I'm going to actually come up. I cut off about 1 inch of that. And I'm going to tie it in at the same 45. I come up my thread. I'm going to anchor it in so it doesn't slip around on me. Anchor that. Now I can take my material, whether or not you use your hackle pliers or not, coming through. And I like the 2 on this one. Just gives it a little bit more bulk to it. You can overlap them. You're coming in straight behind. If you don't like that much push, then you can go back and you can cover it a little bit more on there. And then again, your anchor. So I'm coming behind the material. And now I've got quite a bit of bulk. So I want to make sure that that thread's locking in pretty close to the shank on this. Come in. And now I know it's anchored in. I can cut off that little trailing end and finish it off with my whip finish. So when this goes in the water, it is going to have that, it's going to flip over, but it also gives sort of a fancier name. It has a leech style. It attracts, and you don't have to add any flash or anything. But this is more the appearance. So we can see how attractive that would be. And again, if you're on the water and you're just kind of like, nah, I'm missing something, come in, separate your fibers a little bit. Your nippers will do the job. So just come in and cut that hide. And then again, if you yank, you're going to lose some material, but I can cut off that much and it still keeps that same great tapered style. But it looks so strange because this is the way you're tying the fly. But in the water, it's doing that, and extremely effective. So go enjoy it. That's all I got.
Very nice.
Anybody?
Looks good.
It's a
Nice.
it's a fun, quick one, and I don't know why, but it just like grabbed me. I'm like, I really like that. And for us, I don't know what they're called, the safety leeches. They're huge in this area, and it's an orange bead at the top, and then the mohair, which is really good for this area. But this is such an easy one to teach, and it also gives a lot of different materials. It's a good looking fly, and I left it on the longer side, and it was aggressive on the chase. So it is kind of a fun one to tie. Again, that's the way that it's kind of playing through the water. You can use a jig hook on this. I just grabbed that other with the caddis style, but works as the same principle. Here's your line. And so it's inverted in the water.
Amy, how do you fix
Yes.
that? How do you fish? How do you fish that?
What I did was went straight across. I let a little bit of swing coming downstream, and then I stripped it back. And so it was a little bit of, just go straight out from where you are, count to 10, let it drift enough, and then just a strip, not fast, not slow. And so you're fishing this more downstream. If you try to go upstream with this, you're passing right in front of the fish's noses. Not gonna get a take. Did that make sense for like how to fish it?
Yes, that's an attractive fly too. Thank you.
And I think, that's something also as we talk about different, because I was trying a ton of different patterns, and I finally, I think even on Saturday, and I was catching fish, but I kind of have a 4 fish rule per fly. And so after 4 fish, I figured out what they're eating. Let's try something else. We tie all these flies, right? We have all these flies, and then you sit there and look and go, I haven't used any of them. So I just started messing around. I started putting the most crazy combinations together going, wonder if they would take this. And that's where it ended up. Yes, grasshoppers in February in 15 degrees or 17 degrees, and they will take them. So it's just, kind of trying stuff. Just have patience, lots of knots, and ice was a factor, especially on Saturday. Ice was a factor. We have moving water. We have water 55 degrees. If you're on it, dip that rod in the water, and that's the easiest way to clear. I finally had to dunk my entire, all the way back to the last guide on my last section. And I finally had to just dip it in the water to get all the ice to clear. But other than that, I was clearing probably every 10 minutes because it would just build up and build up, and you cast and your fly line goes nowhere. Yeah, that's ice. All right, all. Well, we got done early. You guys go be good Valentines to your significant others. And any topics, we're not, if Lois jumped on, we're not taking her topics for next week, but thanks for everybody's fly box recommendations. And so we can, anybody have anything they'd like to see for next week?
Trying to think of something.
Huh. Okay.
Can you send a picture of that fly? It's just easier for me to try and tie off of
Sure.
a photo than off of my memory.
Absolutely. And this was kind of an impromptu one, Terry, so I can easily, I mean, I can send you the description as well. And it, on this one, oh, sorry, I just took a picture. The other thing is a black bead on just about any jig style hook that you have, because the bead drops perfectly into that 45-degree on a jig, and then everything rides great. This one I just grabbed from, and I will send you a picture of it. And then ostrich is the only other thing, because you actually want that. It's not hackle. It wants to make that kind of bushy, lay. I don't know how to describe it, but you don't want, it's not like a soft hackle that you're trying to swing. It just stands up on its own. So, all right. Well, I guess you guys are leaving it to the Joker grab bag for next week, since nobody had anything for next week's topics. Mick and Margie are looking, going, look up something really quick. See if she can tie it.
I was looking at Mix that he did.
Yep, the slump buster.
The
So
slump
it's
buster.
exactly, yep, the slump buster is almost exactly the same. But you're running the squirrel up as the collar. So as you tie that back piece in, that's what your wire is holding the back piece in. And
Yep.
then you run it up and you kind of segment it. And then as you get up closer to it, you're running that as your hackle. And it's a beautiful profile. I mean, especially if you get that wet and you just hold it up and go, yeah, what fish wouldn't eat this?
Yeah.
They work great. It still mimics the leech pattern, and that's what you're going after. So especially for us, late fall, where eggs are dropping, and early spring, going with an orange head or a peach color, something like that, and it looks like an egg sucking leech.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the attraction, is they're like, oh no, I'm getting that, not you.
Yes.
And that's where you get the aggression from the hits. But all right, well, you know what? So you guys didn't say it. So you guys want to tie caddis next week?
Sure.
No,
Gonna
no.
say, call out a number,
Here,
call out a number, and then I'll look at the page number, and that's what I'll do.
there you go. Page number from 1.
No, I think it's like about 20 to like 230.
Or, oh, from
42.
the fly tying Bible.
Yeah,
From the
the
Bible?
Bible.
Okay, well, here
42.
you go. Well, how about we'll do a tie off, Mick.
All right.
Oh,
Okay.
it's going down.
Yep.
All right, page 79.
79. Let's see what we're doing.
He's gonna look at it. Curse words are gonna come out.
You just,
Okay,
Amy,
yep,
Oh,
there it is.
Amy?
That is-
Going down.
Mitch, Amy, you got just a second?
sure.
What do you see on the top of my screen?
John,
John Wright, PHWFF, and then your flower, and then your Yakasami fly.
Okay, so it's not reversed, right?
It's
No,
not
It is
reversed.
not reversed.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, all right. Anybody else who has the fly tying Bible? If you guys, we kind of use that as a go-to for us. If not, one of us I'll take a picture of it. Mine's coffee stain, water stain and everything else. So Mick, if you have a clean copy of yours.
I do.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to take a picture of that and drop it and then everybody ties next week.
Yep.
Just tie along. And it has, it's not a very, don't worry about the Amherst pheasant. You can use a lot of other, for the tail backing part of that. Use what you have, use feather, but it gives you, it's so similar to a stimulator and yet it's a double wing caddis on that. And John, I did not get some pictures because John's thing is always, you know, are you trying to scare them or are you trying to catch them? And I had, well, yeah, I sent pictures. So the grasshopper again was number 8. We catch them. But this is a fun one. It includes deer hair, calf tail, rubber legs. And it's just kind of about a process. It's more about layering things and kind of thinking through your fly before you're finished with it. And it's a great one going into kind of hopper dropper. So you can drop off the fly off that one too. And use what size hook you have. Don't go out and get a bunch of stuff. But we'll kind of talk through that one next week. And then of course we'll turn it and you guys can vote and see who wins on Mick or I, because I threw that gauntlet, right?
Yeah.
Go down.
Yep. It looks,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'll do my own.
Yeah,
spin on it.
Margie.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure between John Wright and what Mick can do and Margie can do on the computers, we're gonna have some like boom, boom, boom music on there or something too.
Oh, you want music? Hey, I can do that.
I don't know, boom, boom,
Okay.
some sort of, I don't know, what is that?
Now it looks like
all
you're on
this-
a little lily pad.
It does. All right, all. Well, have a good evening and we will send out for next week and it's just for fun. It's all
Yep.
just for fun.
Yep.
It
Make your
does
spin on it. You don't have to go out and get all new
You
stuff.
can take that. put it-
No, don't go get new stuff. That's for sure. It's just
Yeah.
kind of look, but we'll try to drop in early in the week. And then that way, if you do go shop, then you know what you're looking for. But other than that, just use what you have and we'll kind of talk through techniques and then how to fish this fly.
Sounds good.
All righty. Well, everybody, thanks for a great week and we will see you guys next Monday.
Yep.
Ah,
Thanks,
happy
guys.
Valentine's Day.
Hey, lines all.
Thank you.
Happy
Happy
Valentine's
Valentine's
Day.
Day for everybody too.
Going,
Bye.
everybody. Take care.
Take care.